Hello, Internet. How are we doing today? Truly, 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 how are you doing today? From me to you, I want to give you that space, and I want to give you that validation to really ask yourself, how are you doing today? Today is a topic that I have been thinking about, talking about for a while. And I think one of the reasons why I've had so much hesitation about it is because I think I'm finally getting a little bit more personal in this topic. You guys also, I'm sorry, I need to stop. This hair, this hair, this fucking hair is so stiff. This is not my real texture. This is dry shampoo. This is dry shampoo, just to let you know. It is wash day. It is wash day. It is wash day. Anyway, the topic that I'm going to talk about, in this video today. Bummer, I've never coughed in one of these videos, and I'm definitely still on my no editing journey, so sorry about that. Sorry, I hate when people like to stall. I'm doing my biggest pet peeve that I hate YouTube people doing, but I'm going to be talking about what it's like being the outlier today. And I truly want to say that being the outlier is your superpower. And what I was trying to say earlier, but I kept interrupting myself, is that I'm going to be a little bit more vulnerable on this episode because I'm really going to be referencing my own personal experience. And I think I haven't fully done that in the most vulnerable way I'm going to today because being the outlier sucks, and I know that from experience. I feel like I've been a bigger kid my whole life, so I've definitely experienced that. I've also experienced being one of the only white kids in my school, and I probably won't really get into too much of that. I think probably more so related to my body, but I think in a lot of different ways I've been an outlier relating to my identity, whether that's by choice or not, right? I think some would argue that by body that was a choice, but in some ways it wasn't, because it was also, I think, the way that I've grown into my body and I've used my body is the way that I've learned to. And I'm not going to shame myself for that. I don't think healing my relationship with my body or anybody, or even to yourself, is going to happen through shaming ourselves. I recently went to King Spa, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a sauna house in a suburb of Chicago. It's not in Chicago, it's in a suburb, just to let you know. And when you go into this place, you're given a uniform. And a lot has been cosmically happening in the universe. If you know, you know. And if you don't, that's okay. But one of the ways that I really wanted to help myself through that energy is through sweat and being in a sauna. And I went there, I think, twice in a week. And the first time I went there, I got the uniform that was the right size. And sometimes it's really difficult finding the uniform. And I've had trouble where they don't have one that fits me. And that can be really discouraging for a lot of different reasons. And so some of the front desk people have really helped me navigate that conversation and have told me what to say when I come to get the right uniform. So I remember I went on a Saturday, and then I came back the following Monday. Saturday, easy breezy lemon squeezy, getting the uniform. Monday was a shit show. Truly, it was a shit show. I think it took me 45 minutes to get the right uniform. And I also typically go alone. And that time I was with my aunt. And it was really hard because if you want people to come and conform in your establishment, I believe you should provide what you are expecting of everybody. And I could bring my own, but why would I spend more money when going to this place is already $30? It's not necessarily cheap. And spend more money investing into a place. I could, and I could settle, but navigating my life, you know, as a bigger kid and this being, establishment that cost money, I think it's truly unfair. It's understandable, and I probably would maybe avoid some of this mess, but at the end of the day, I think in our commerce, they should provide. And as just customer service, as an establishment, whatever. And I will say that honestly, every time I do go there and I experience the hassle, the men are so much more willing to help me than the women. And you go into the locker room, you have to undress, you have to shower, you can use the whirlpools and the steam. You have to shower before you even enter the establishment where the sauna rooms are all co-ed. And the women are really not understanding, which rightfully so, in a sense, right? Like, nobody has to take on that energy, but it really made me feel like an outlier. And, like I said, been a fat kid my whole life. At this point, if my body is going to make somebody uncomfortable, I know doesn't have anything to do with me. I just think in a time where I was really taking the time to take care of myself, my body being in the way of that, outside of my control, was really hard. And I think even my relationship with my body is really connected to my dad. And I think I lost my dad when I was really young. And, when I experience sort of that classification, it, I don't want to say reminds me of him, but it makes me, I think, yearn for him, And that was also coming up for me in these moments. And it was also hard too because, like, the women in the locker room, weren't helping me. I couldn't find the right uniform for a good 20 minutes. So went in the fucking bathroom stall and I cried my eyes out because best believe that feels fucking shitty. And I can hear my aunt talking to the women, and the women in the locker room knew I was in there because eventually obviously I'm crying, like they knew I was crying. The woman handed me the right uniform over the stall. She's literally tugging it away from me when she's trying to hand it to me, unrolls it and then just gives me the pants. Because that was the whole issue of the uniform. Like, your bitch has fucking wide hips. I need the stretchy pants. Like, the jersey doesn't work for me, honey. Hello. And so, they at the end of the day, they knew where I was, and they didn't even tell my aunt. They didn't tell the person who I walked into the fucking establishment with. And so when I finally met up with her in the co-ed area, she's like, where were you? I couldn't fucking find you. And so it's just sad, So how am I saying that this is your outlier? The key here is perspective, unfortunately. I'm sorry that's my answer. I know that's hard. I know it's hard to get there. But, one, I shook that fucking room with my presence. And best believe, when the woman finally came up to me afterwards and gave me the right uniform, I said that you're fat phobic. I said it shouldn't be this hard. I've never been this uncomfortable here. I've never had this much of a hard time here. Like, this is really unacceptable. Like, come on. And $30, like, it's a big place, but still, like, come on. Like, that's damn near literally dinner. dinner for two at a fast food restaurant. Like, what the fuck? Anywho, I just, and so the reason why I'm saying that you're an outlier and it's about perspective is because I shook that room. I stood on my boundaries and my self-worth. And I said, hey, I don't feel respected here. I'm sorry, guys. You guys are going to have to just deal with this. I really don't want to edit this thing right now. I'm still in my uncut series. I think that's what I want to call it. But I think that it's important if your presence makes somebody uncomfortable. Because, oh my God, I think I have a booger. I'm so sorry, guys. Anyway, I am saying that if you make somebody uncomfortable by just your presence, if you're saying something disrespectful, if you're being hateful, I'm not talking about that. Like, don't be a fucking dick. Like, that's gonna make somebody uncomfortable. Like, but if your presence, if your aura, if your existence is making somebody uncomfortable, that is about them. And do not let yourself take that in. We live in such an externally validating society, and I think being an outlier, being somebody who was unacceptable in so many settings, don't take that shit in. That is not about you. That's about them. And I think this is super fucking hard to train your brain. I mean, I'm 24, like, I've been really working on this for the last couple years, and like, even at this moment at King Spa, it got to me, and that is completely okay. I think the conformity doesn't have to consume us, and that's really hard to practice, but I promise it's possible. And I think exactly, it's like about conformity. I think differences should be celebrated, not defeated and demised and beat down on. We're categorized in so many ways. We're categorized by the way we look, our skin color, our hair, where we live, what car we drive, if we drive, what school we go to, even like being so much broader, and what your parents do for work or whatever, who you're related to, right? There's just so many ways that we're categorized in our society. And if you don't fit in, that is your superpower. I want to celebrate that right now. From me to you, I truly want to celebrate that for you. And whatever your difference is, because I don't think there's enough conversation about this, and so I think we have to push the boundaries, Rules, I think, are supposed to be questioned, truly, and I'm not talking about violence. If violence comes to your head, this is not for you, I'm not talking to you, is what I'm trying to say, but I think it's happening in some ways, in a lot of different ways, but, challenging the status quo. At the end of the day, we have to stand true to ourselves, and I want to give you that. I want to tell you that, like I said in my first video, the only person you wake up for is you, bitch. So, if you're living for somebody else, I don't know what to tell you. And of course, like, if you have children or dependents, like I've said, like, I'm, this is that conversation is a little bit different, but I think we need to really uplift each other. We need to uplift each other's differences. We need to have curiosity and not shame and judge and criticize. Because, we all didn't grow up the same way. We all didn't learn the same ways on how to take care of ourselves. And I think identity is so created in that as well. And we don't give that enough credit. I mean, all of these layers of living have been commodified. Even identity has been commodified. So, how do we really learn how to live for ourselves when I think we're bred to not to? And we are bred to judge and shame and categorize and because I went through it, you have to go through it. These are just really demonizing and I think very mechanical, militant ways of looking at the world, and I think that they're harmful. I really think that they, and we've seen on a greater scale systemically how people have been harmed, and just thinking of what's going on in the world today, and that even like public education is almost off the table when it was literally created because of how racist our country was at the time, and only white people could go to school because they were the only ones that could afford it. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is just, and this is the thing, like, it's always intertwined. Like, it's an infinity sign. Like, all of these layers, even all the phenomenons that I've talked about that maybe you've understood or know about or whatever even come up for you, it's all connected, and it's just a roller coaster. Like, it's a web. It's like you knock one down, 3 more pop up. And so I hope you do something for yourself today. And whatever part of you that you feel like doesn't fit the status quo, that makes you feel like an outlier, that makes you different, know that that is your superpower. That's what makes you you. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you a human being. I'm gonna stop here. So much love to you guys. I really hope my videos bring you curiosity. That's all I can ask for. You agree with me, you disagree with me, you learned something, heard something you already knew. I hope it just brings you some sort of perspective. I hope it just makes you question something, because that's truly all I could ask for. I mean, we need critical thinking skills now more than ever, and I just hope that I am triggering that in people. So thank you. Until next time.